Lively has somehow managed to brand herself as public enemy number one, and y'all, it is messy. TikTok detectives are on fire, and they've dug deep into her past, uncovering some seriously jaw-dropping dirt. Turns out, Blake has been the queen of the mean girls since the moment she stepped onto the Hollywood scene. Like, how did we not see this before? But the real kicker is that she didn't just ruin her own image, she dragged her husband, Ryan Reynolds, down with her. He's gone from Hollywood's golden boy to one of the most hated men in the industry, and trust me, the revelations are beyond scandalous. On top of all that, Blake turns around to accuse her co-star, Justin Baldoni, only for things to blow up in her face, and it was a double tragedy. And get this, Blake and Ryan's picture-perfect relationship? Yeah. Would you believe it started with a whole lot of lies and borderline cheating on their previous partners? Ugh. The audacity. Don't worry, we're about to spill every single detail because this tea is piping hot with a capital H. All right, without wasting any more time, let's dive right into this madness. Well, where do we even begin with this whirlwind of chaos? It is hard to believe that all of this drama has exploded in just under 2 weeks since the premiere of It Ends With Us. But that's Hollywood for you. Once a celeb shows their true colors, it's like all their dirty laundry magically airs out for the world to see. It's almost like Blake has a closet full of skeletons just waiting for the right moment to spill out, and boy did they ever. Blake, sweetie, you really missed the memo on this one. Now, I can't possibly fill you guys in on every single juicy detail, but you know I'm not about to leave you hanging. I've got that tea that really matters because honestly, what kind of scandal whisperer friend would I be if I didn't? You're welcome, loves. First up, let's talk about how things started spiraling out of control. Blake Lively did the one thing we all feared. She completely botched the It Ends With Us press tour. Book lovers have been screaming from the rooftops for years about how Hollywood often butchers their favorite reads. Well, it happened. Blake just went and proved them all right, and instead of focusing on the deeply emotional core of the story, she's been turning every interview into a self-centered circus, completely disregarding the heavy themes of the book. Like, seriously, what was she thinking? But hold on, because it gets worse. The most shocking part, this tone-deaf disaster is coming from the very person who should have known better. Not only did Blake snag a lead role, but she also produced the movie. You'd think that she'd be the one to guide the conversation with some sensitivity, but nope, Blake has been out here romanticizing the movie like it's some lighthearted rom-com. She's even telling girls to don their florals and head to the theater. Meanwhile, she mentioned dripping in expensive designer outfits and getting all glammed up before watching the movie, which is just so insane and completely out of touch with the gravity of the story.
I don't dress like this in real life, but like I'm having to like do interviews and talk, so I'm gonna wear like a crazy pattern and really crazy rings. Rings also are like my comfort blanket. It's just a very expensive comfort blanket. I should like Snuggies instead as a comfort blanket. Instead I like Lorraine Schwartz, which is a problem.
But that's just the tip of the iceberg, y'all. We're barely scraping the surface of this mess. Blake has been given the most cringeworthy, tone-deaf responses during interviews, leaving fans and critics alike scratching their heads. Like, has she even read the script? Oh, I think this is a good moment to mention that It Ends With Us is a movie about DV. So you'd expect the lead actress who plays the woman experiencing this trauma to approach the subject with some level of seriousness, right? Wrong. Blake has turned this entire narrative into a joke, and it is beyond infuriating. Let's start with that infamous interview clip that's making the rounds.
They're really going to want to talk to you. This movie is going to affect people, and they're going to want to tell you about their life. What's the best way for them to be able to talk to you about this? How would you recommend they go about it?
Like asking for like my address or my phone number or like my location share. Or I could just location share you, and then we could
Did y'all catch Blake's ridiculous response when asked about how she'd handle fans sharing their real life experiences with her? It's like she completely has forgotten the plot. Even her co-actor Brandon looks like he's had enough of this PR nightmare. The guy's face says it all. He is so over it, and honestly, who could blame him? But not only that, can you believe, no, actually scratch that. Can you stomach the sheer audacity of Blake Lively during these promotional tours has been shamelessly, oh my goodness. This woman has been hawking her hair brand as if it is the second coming of hair care. Right when It Ends With Us just hit the big screens. Coincidence? Ugh. please. We were born at night, but not last night. The timing is just more than suspicious, and it's downright calculated to promote her business at this time. And you know what's really galling? If Blake had just dropped a one-time plug, fans might have let it slide. But oh no, she's got her promotional game on a step and repeat, slipping her brand into every single opportunity like it's her side hustle instead of, I don't know, promoting a movie she allegedly poured her heart into? But judging by her Instagram bio, you'd think that the film doesn't even exist. The only thing she's linking to is her business, because clearly in Blake's world, business comes first. Art be damned. And let's not forget, the girl didn't just stop acting. She made herself lead, producer, hairstylist, and fashion designer. Talk about a one-woman show. Meanwhile, her co-star and the film's director, Justin Baldoni, seems to be the only one with his head screwed on straight. His Instagram bio even has links to DV helplines while Blake is busy counting her coins. It's like they are in two completely different movies. Now, before you start thinking, oh, maybe it was just an oversight, let me hit you with this. When asked why she wasn't hyping the movie on her socials, Blake didn't just drop the ball. She smashed it to pieces with the most tone-deaf response you can imagine.
See, it's actually because we're always like, yeah, our movie's so good, go see it. You're like paid to do that. Not, they don't actually pay you to promote the movie.
Say it. It's
Pay you
great.
to promote the movie. They should. They pay you to be in the movie. Not, whatever.
Yep, you heard it right. She wasn't getting paid for it, so why bother? That's what matters to her. Forget about the message of the film. Forget about the people who might actually need to see it. No, if there is no check attached, Blake isn't interested. It's starting to make sense now why she's been acting like a toddler on a sugar rush. Here's another proof that Blake Lively's goal was on an entirely different mission this entire time. She was on a mission of self-promotion from day one. And if you thought her social media mess was bad, get this. Deadpool and Wolverine have been mysteriously intertwined with the PR for It Ends With Us. Blake and her husband Ryan must have thought that they could pull off a Barbie Oppenheimer level buzz by running these projects side by side, but honey, it's backfiring big time. This, my loves, was the exact moment when people started giving Ryan those bombastic side eyes. But we'll dive into that juicy drama in just a sec. Let's just stay focused on Blake's mess for now. Because if you thought Blake's off-screen drama was something, let's rewind to her days on Gossip Girl. Turns out she wasn't just acting, she was living the role of Serena Vanderwoodson like it was a method acting project. It's like Blake was born to play the part because, according to all the tea that has been spilt, this girl has been a real-life mean girl all along. The Gossip Girl set was a battleground, and Blake was in the trenches, especially when it came to her co-star Leighton Meester. Word on the street is that Blake threw multiple tantrums when Leighton got a budget boost for her wardrobe because, in Blake's world, she was supposed to be the queen bee, both on and off the screen. Can you even with this level of pettiness? But nature does have a sense of humor, guys. The irony of it all. Years later, on the set of It Ends With Us, Blake was still up to her old tricks. She took on the role of fashion designer because of course she did, and completely botched it. Fans are not impressed with her wardrobe choices for Lily, and honestly, who could blame them? It's like Blake can't let go of the past and keeps trying to relive her Serena glory days. But here's the gag. Instead of the applause she was expecting, she's getting a face full of humble pie, and trust me, she's had a lot of that to swallow lately. Even Justin Baldoni, bless his heart, tried to throw her a bone by calling her a creative powerhouse, but that compliment turned into yet another punchline.
Something you might not know about Blake is that she's not just an actor. She is so much more than that. She's a creative powerhouse. She's a producer, she's a writer, she's a fashion designer. She touched so many aspects of this production, and everything she touched, she made better.
People took one look at that and went, oh, so you mean greedy creative powerhouse. Blake didn't do herself any favors when she responded like this.
Well, I'm not the type of actor who can act without producing, like you can't just put me in any clothes and give me any words and have me step in and transform.
I mean, why be humble when she can double down on the me attitude? Seriously, Blake, you went from fan favorite to the shadiest person in Hollywood because you couldn't stop making everything about yourself. What a fall from grace. And is it just me, or is Blake giving off major J-Lo vibes right now? You know, that same know-it-all energy that always ends in a spectacular fail? Blake's been so out of touch that she's practically turned herself into a walking, talking cringe fest. She keeps rambling on, missing the point entirely, and somehow manages to turn every conversation into a vanity project. She could pass for JLo's twin right now because, Lord, we all know JLo comes second to none when it comes to being tone deaf. Moving on to current and more troubling matters. Upon realizing that she was in hot water, she decided to drag her co-star Justin Baldoni down with her. And how does she do it? Oh, just by accusing him of something so bizarre and out of left field that it's almost a mockery of the DV theme of the movie. But hold that thought because we've got a lot to talk about with the other drama that's been brewing among the It Ends With Us cast ever since the disaster of a premiere. Trust me, it's a mess you don't want to miss. Now, as if Blake hasn't stirred up enough drama, she decided to drag Baldoni into her whirlwind of chaos, accusing him of fat-shaming her on set. Y'all, this accusation is straight up wild. Let me break it down. There is a scene in It Ends With Us where Baldoni lifts Blake into the air before planting a kiss on her. Now, anyone who knows Baldoni knows he's got a medical history with a back problem. So, like a responsible adult, he asks his on-set trainer how much Blake weighs, just to be sure his back won't give out mid-scene. He even went the extra mile asking how he could train to nail the lift without hurting himself or her. Seems reasonable, right? Well, not to Blake. The moment she caught wind of this, she flipped out and accused Baldoni of fat-shaming her postpartum body, now that she just had her 4th child in February of 2023. So now there was a body-shaming scandal thrown into the mix. I mean, have we fallen so far back that now we need to redefine fat-shaming? Because let's be real, that's not even close to what's happening here. If anything, other than just protecting himself and also trying to protect her as well. That's literally why they have on-set trainers. But here's the kicker. Blake's little stunt did not age well. Not one bit. Remember how I said there's always a closet full of skeletons waiting to tumble out the moment a celebrity starts trending for the wrong reasons? Well, Blake's closet just burst wide open. Turns out, she's no stranger to body shaming herself, and the receipts have been provided, y'all. Oh, they go all the way back to 2016. Interestingly, Kirsty Flatt, the Norwegian interviewer who spilled the tea on Blake in a big way, claims she wasn't even aware of the current It Ends With Us drama when she decided to upload an old interview with Blake to YouTube. Hard to believe, but that's besides the point. The point is, the timing was just chef's kiss. Guys, the way that Blake tried to flip around this interview into some sort of misguided girl boss moment is both sad and hilarious. Funny enough, this also happened during yet another press tour for her movie Cafe Society. So, for context, Blake herself had publicly announced that she was pregnant, so this was public knowledge, everybody knew. So naturally, during the interview, Kirsty Flatt congratulated Blake on her pregnancy. But Blake's response was extremely savage. In Kirsty's words, almost made her want to quit her job. Kirsty literally titled her recent YouTube video, Blake Lively almost made me want to quit my job, and it's now racking up to 4 million views.
First of all, congrats on your little bump.
Congrats on your little bump.
What about my bump?
You've got 2 nice ones.
And they are kind of bumps, aren't they?
No, not bumps. The lovely lady lumps. Check it out.
Thank you, thank you.
What an awkward moment. No, seriously, why would she be that salty? Talk about an awkward moment. No, seriously, what was Blake thinking? The interviewer clearly wasn't pregnant, so what was Blake insinuating? That she was fat? Blake seemed to be picking a fight over a harmless comment about her pregnancy, something she'd already announced to the whole world. Come on, girl, you cannot have it both ways. And now that Kirsty later repeated that she could never have kids due to infertility issues, would Blake have handled the situation any differently if she had this information? She likely would have, which just proves she responded out of spite. And y'all, you've got to watch the entire interview because Blake's mean girl energy was off the charts. She completely ignored Kirsty and decided to have a casual chat with Posey. The level of disrespect was unbelievable.
Did you guys love wearing those kind of clothes that you...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And working in digital.
Everyone wants to talk about the clothes, but I wonder if they would ask the men about the clothes.
I love Jesse's.
Anyway, all of this dirt on Blake came out because she tried to throw Baldoni under the bus with her blown out of proportion fat-shaming accusation. You know, when mean people can't be mean, they put on the victim mentality hood. So far, people have now proven that Blake has always been like this. But that's not the only thing that Blake has accused Baldoni of. Oh no, she went on to accuse Baldoni of holding onto a kiss for too long during a scene. I wonder how many straws she's gonna grasp at. On top of that, the cast and crew members spilled the beans on the endless hostility between Blake and Baldoni on set. However, even with all these going on, Baldoni has tried to be the bigger person in all of this mess, even if it meant staying away from the entire team. He has also stuck to the movie's messages throughout all of his interviews, ignoring all the sideshows. Deep down though, you know he'd rather mop the ocean dry than ever take on another project with Blake Lively.
It starts with us, so I'm hoping to see you back in the double duty role.
I think there are better people for that one.
Justin.
I think Blake Lively's ready to direct. That's what I think.
And to think that all of this mess started with Baldoni acquiring the rights to It Ends With Us back in 2019, long before Blake stepped into the picture. Shockingly, Blake had never even heard of the author Colleen Hoover. Like, how is that even possible? Fans are already fuming over Blake's portrayal of Lily in the film, and her attempts to romanticize the role during her interviews have only poured gasoline on the fire. But wait, it gets worse. The film didn't even include helplines at the end, which is basic decency for a movie with such heavy themes. Turns out that omission was Blake's fault because it was her cut that was used. It was her final cut that got used, conveniently skipping over something so crucial. Now, there's even an online petition making the rounds begging for Baldoni's cut to be released. I mean, the guy even has helplines in his Instagram bio. There is no way he would leave them out of his movie. Baldoni had even mentioned that he felt it right to let Blake spearhead the project given the storyline focused on women's plight in DV cases. See, this is how sensible people reason. Is Blake taking notes? And speaking of the movie, you won't believe this. Blake actually had her husband, Ryan, rewrite some of the scenes behind the screenwriter's back. Not to mention how the PR for this movie became a total disaster, all because Blake, Ryan, his mother, and their buddy Hugh Jackman decided to treat this project like a high school rom-com. People who hadn't read the book were in for a nasty shock when they watched the movie, realizing it had much darker, more serious tones than the goofy PR campaign suggested. But the digging didn't stop there, guys. Ryan might be known as the funny guy, but his and Blake's bizarre behavior has put their so-called perfect marriage under a magnifying glass. Turns out there are some serious red flags. Ryan was engaged twice and married once before Blake, with his whirlwind marriage to Scarlett Johansson crashing and burning in under 2 years. Keep these timelines in mind because here's where it gets juicy. In 2010, Ryan starred in Green Lantern, and guess who he met on set? Yep, Blake Lively, who was dating Penn Badgley at the time. The ink was barely dry on Ryan and Scarlett's divorce papers before he and Blake were tying the knot in 2011. Oh, and let's talk about Hollywood's favorite cliche, leaving your wife for a younger woman. Ryan is 47, while Blake is 36, so yeah, there's that. And if you think their shady beginnings were bad, just wait. They chose to have their wedding at the Boone Hall Plantation. Yes, a literal plantation with a dark history of slavery and torture. Seriously, this is who we're supposed to look up to? It's no wonder these two could treat a movie about DV like a joke. They deserve each other. So much dirt has been coming out of Blake's past, guys. She once wrote an article supporting a pro-slavery agenda. The bottom line is she's not fooling anyone anymore, and that power couple image she and Ryan have been peddling is a total sham. They're awful people, plain and simple. Thanks for sticking around, loves. Let me know what you think down in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next video.